Quite often people will come to me and they'll say, hey, if you had to choose between the 24 to 200 f4 to f6.3 Z-mount Nikon lens or the 24 to 120 f4 Z-mount S-series lens, which would you pick? And you know what? That's a great question. So let's talk a little bit about the differences and the strengths and weaknesses of each. And we'll even look at a few pictures and see what we can discern from those pictures. But first, let's talk about the technical specs. Now, if you know me and you've seen some of my previous videos, you'll know that the Nikon Z 24 to 200 millimeter f4 to f6.3 vibration reduction lens is one of my favorite walk-around lenses because it's got that incredible range, 24 millimeter to 200 millimeter. If you go into the zoo or a family function, this is a great lens. You put this on your camera and you need nothing else. It's not very heavy, and it kind of, it's kind of a do anything type of lens. Not great for night photography, that's for sure. It does lose that minimum aperture of f4 very quickly, and in fact it hits f6.3 at 70 millimeter. So from 70 millimeter all the way up to 200 millimeter, you're at f6.3, and that to me is a little bit disappointing. But focal length, 24 to 200 millimeter, maximum aperture f4 to f6.3, full frame, of course. It is 3.1 inches in diameter and 4.5 inches tall, and it weighs 20.2 ounces or 570 grams. Now, let's take a look at the 24 to 120 f4 Z-mount S-series lens. Okay, so this is 24 to 120 is your focal length. Maximum aperture is f4. It's full frame. 3.4 inches in diameter, 4.7 inches in height, and it is 22.2 ounces, or 2 ounces more exactly, or 630 grams. Height-wise, they're almost absolutely identical. Weight-wise, there is a 2-ounce difference between the two. Okay, so the next thing we should consider is weather sealing. So the 24 to 200, Nikon states, is extensively sealed to keep dust and moisture out, especially around the moving parts and barrel, for worry-free durability. So they're not saying it's weather sealed, they're just saying it's dust and moisture sealed. Whereas the 24 to 120 is in fact weather sealed, so you should have a little bit better resistance, or probably a lot better resistance to weather when shooting with this 24 to 120 lens. All right, so let's take a look at some images side by side now. Grogu here, or Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call him, he very graciously decided that he wanted to help with this video, so he did pose for some portraits. So here he is. So on the left side here, you're going to see the 24 to 120 lens. Okay, this is shot at f6.3 because that's the only way we could shoot the 24 to 200. That's as low as 24 to 200 could go. So comparing apples to apples, right? These are both shot absolutely identical. It's 1/160th of a second, f6.3, 100 ISO on a Nikon Z6 II at 120 millimeters. So if we take a look at this image here, we'll see, just take a look at the background and the bokeh. I do see a little bit nicer bokeh in the background here around the rear of our subject here. And I would expect that, as the 24 to 120 does have a 9-blade diaphragm, whereas the 24 to 200 has a 7-blade. So we're going to get a little softer bokeh with the 24 to 120, and that is to be expected, and that is exactly what I'm seeing. A little less detail in this region here, a little more detail there. So nicer bokeh with the 24 to 120. Now, in terms of clarity, though, and even with the bokeh, that being said, that yes, I think the 24 to 120 is slightly better, but they're very close. And I'm sure you're looking at these images also, and you're probably thinking the same thing. In terms of bokeh, these two images are extremely close. Let's take a look. But one thing that jumps off the page at me is detail, the little details. Like, for example, Grogu's little coat here, the texture kind of jumps off the page at me a little bit more than the other photo. So this is the 24 to 120. This is the 24 to 200. So if we zoom in on this, right, you can see that the texture is just a little bit sharper here. So I definitely see a little bit sharper image quality coming out of the 24 to 120. Now, if we look at the face, especially in this area here where we have these soft little curves, you see that the detail, the fine detail, is just a little bit soft on the 24 to 200, whereas the 24 to 120 captures that detail, especially above the eyes, with a little bit more clarity. If you look at the nose, the fine detail of the nose as well, you'll see it's a little bit softer on this side. The mouth, look at the mouth, a little bit softer over here. Not by much, but it is visibly noticeable to me. So I would definitely give an edge to the 24 to 120 in terms of resolution, in terms of what it's capturing with resolution. All right, so the next thing we should talk about is price. Nikon Z 24 to 200 lens retails at $799.95. So that's $799.95. Retail price on the 24 to 120 lens is $1,099.95. But I will tell you that I have seen this lens over the past week or 2 weeks on sale for Black Friday as low as like around $896. I saw it one day on Amazon. I think it was at $896. So that puts them within about $100 of each other. So definitely look for sales on that 24 to 120 right now for Black Friday. All right, this image on the screen is Grogu posing for us. This is shot at 24 millimeter identical settings. On the left-hand side, we have the 24 to 120. On the right, on this side here, is the 24 to 200. Shot at 1/640th of a second, both at f4 at ISO 100. And again, I'm seeing the same results here as we did at 120. To me, it just looks like we have better detail on a 24 to 120 in the face in these soft areas. Just a little bit better detail, nicer detail in the clothing over here, a little sharper detail over here. So again, to me, the 24 to 120 is coming out on top in terms of image quality. In terms of bokeh, they look very similar to me. I mean, that's still, it's a matter of taste. I think I'm leaning a little bit towards the 24 to 120. Again, just because it is a little tiny bit softer, but very little difference there, almost none. But it's just, like I said, a little bit of difference in sharpness of this image that I have to throw this in favor of the 24 to 120. Now, one of the other things that I do like about the 24 to 120 is the ability to use it almost as a macro lens because of its close focusing capabilities. So just wanted to show you here on the right, this is the 24 to 120. We're at 120 millimeter and we have a nice tight crop at f4 on our character on his speeder. And then we have over here the 24 to 200, and the 24 to 200, even though we're at 120 millimeter, we have to have the subject further away from the camera. So you see the difference in the shot that we have here. And it is a dramatic difference, if doing close-up or macro photography is important to you. The 24 to 120 just completely edges out the 24 to 200 in that category. Just by this example alone, the ability to get in nice and close like this is very much appreciated with this lens. So which one should you buy? Well, I'm going to leave that in your hands. If you want that extra reach from that 120 to 200, certainly the 24 to 200 does provide it. If you're looking for the sharpest lens you can get, with the ability to close focus, and you have a little bit extra money to spend, and it may not be much extra. Like I said, watch those sales. The 24 to 120 f4 is the way to go. Of course, you are losing out on the vibration reduction built into the lens, so you kind of have a toss-up there. But hey, Let me know in the comments what you think. Which one would you choose? Would you choose the 24 to 120? Or would you choose the 24 to 200? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, YouTube. If this was helpful, please do me a favor. Help me out by hitting the subscribe button. Ring the bell so you get notified of future updates. I'd appreciate it. As always, it's been very nice to see your smiling faces again here on YouTube. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.